On this episode of Finding Beautiful Strangers, I wasn't over the trauma because I knew that I still had to deal with it. But as a resilient human, I was able to be excited in the moment and to experience all of the hard work that was done to get to this place.
Holding my breath and I'm ready to go. I'm falling right in and I'm ready to go. I found what I want and I know that we're on top, so I'll tap in and I'm ready to whoa.
Finding Beautiful Strangers is my adventure as a serial entrepreneur and how the people I meet along the way make it possible. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle. I'm Abby Wallach, and it's my story.
Ready to whoa.
I had a major cyber fraud happen, and that really rocked my world because not only was I upset, I was like MIA. No one knew where I was. You couldn't even talk to me because I was so focused. I was being the operator, right? Operating this business to make sure it was perfect. But in the middle of the whole thing, I had to pay bills. And when you have big bills to pay, you want to take it to the bank and wire it and do all the proper things, which I always do the proper things. But somewhere along the way, something happened. There was a huge cyber breach and my GoDaddy account was hacked. What I found out was that the company that I owed the money to, they never got the money. And I'm like, what do you mean you didn't get the money? How could you not get the money? I have the proof. I wired the money. Fast forward, what I soon learned was that there was an entire cyber ring in my GoDaddy account. They had bought 30 URLs. They had falsified information, and that was when they intercepted my emails. They, meaning these cyber criminals, told the company that the money would be there soon, so the company thinks they're going to get the money tomorrow. And mind you, they say to me, thanks for the money. Thanks, we received your payment. I'm thinking, okay, they received the payment. Well, of course they did. I went to the bank. Well, that is not what happened. So for the next 3 weeks in between this major moment in my life where I'm supposed to go nationwide with this amazing opportunity, I am on the phone with the police, calling the FBI, finding cybersecurity in Washington, getting a lawyer, and beside myself. And I have this adrenaline going that I'm like a different person. This is very scary. I don't really know how I was able to survive because it was also a psychological drama, right? I was being scammed. Fortunately, I was able, and this is another true skill set of an entrepreneur, I was able to focus and put everything aside for a week. I literally had my team working on Sparty, getting it to Walmart, and I focused on this cyber fraud issue. And I wrote notes and I compiled everything and I stuck it in a file and I said, this is a file. I will come back to this after my launch at Walmart. Because I cannot, it was so over the top that even me, who is over the top, I couldn't function. And my poor husband, I literally was crying every day in the shower, morning, noon, and night. I was scared for my life, kind of, because these people knew who I was and nobody knew because I had to deal with it. So what I learned in this disaster and this mess is that you can get through anything if you stay focused. I did the job. I compiled all the details. I knew I couldn't deal with the existing issue and get to the bottom of it, but I put all the pieces in place so I could come back to it after my launch. After I dealt with that scenario, Sparty was in the world. Before we went to Walmart in California, I also took a road trip up to another Walmart where we had so many people in the aisles dancing around, taking photographs, experiencing our new cool way to wear fragrance. When I finally saw this display in these stores and then in California and then seeing all the kids rallying around it and all of the social and the TikTok and the campaign that we built and spent all of our hard-earned money to make sure it would be a success, it was elating to experience people looking at this new product and testing it and experiencing it with me. This was a traumatic experience. I had a major cyber fraud happen. I wasn't over the trauma because I knew that I still had to deal with it. But as a resilient human, I was able to be excited to experience all of the hard work that was done to get to this place of launch and to finally not only appreciate, but to revel in the moment of it's here. You did your job. You did it well. So that was awesome. Okay, let's time travel to June 2022. It is the Fragrance Foundation Awards at Lincoln Center, a place that I know really well because I spent so many years style stalking strangers on the street, finding out what they use, wear, and love.
Take me back to Manhattan, back to the city where the magic happens. You wear your suit and tie and I will wear my satin.
But this time, I am sitting in a room with all of the powers that be in the fragrance industry. A place that I always wanted to be. And at this very moment, mind you, we're just coming out of the pandemic. Our masks are finally off. And we're together for the first time in over 2.5 years. So it really is a moment, and the energy in the room is just electric and exciting. And every fragrance in the world, the Chanels, the Diors, the Kilian, Hermes, Un Sur Le Nil, my very first, that I found backstage at a fashion show when I was shooting Beautiful Stranger. These are the fragrances that are shining on the stage tonight and will win the awards. And the reason why I am so excited to be in this room and out from behind a Zoom and WhatsApp and meeting is because when I started my career, I landed my very first job at a small beauty and fashion PR firm. And I took this job making, I think it was $14,000, no money, couldn't live on that at the time. And instead of taking a job at the Limited, that was a retail store, the Limited Express on Madison Avenue, where they wanted me to be a floor manager. I think they were going to pay me $40,000, but I did not want that job. I wanted to be in beauty, and I wanted to be in fashion, and I wanted to be in special events and PR. That's what my pledge mother told me to do when I was in college, University of Wisconsin. I took the job, and my first few clients, it was Procter & Gamble, Beauty Care Council, Quelques Fleurs, which was a beautiful French fragrance that I actually launched at Bergdorf Goodman as one of my very first projects. So sitting here in Lincoln Center amongst all of the beauty and fashion people, and fragrance, of course, is very monumental for me because that was the industry that I wanted to be in since I sat at my grandmother's vanity when I was a little girl. I wanted to be in beauty. I wanted to be in fashion. I wanted to be creative. And in this moment, I'm reflecting back on my entire journey, my corporate career, my entertainment career, my entrepreneurial ventures, and how I literally landed in this seat. And it's a good seat. It's, a few rows back from the stage, which is always very, very important to me because I spent the past 30 years in the entertainment business. And that has been a very exciting, cool journey as a serial entrepreneur and as an executive. But what that background allowed for me to do is launch into another industry that I was able to take all of my skills and all of my expertise and have them come full circle. Let's start with the beginning of the circle, my time in Hollywood and entertainment, in which a turtle and a pizza box walk into a cable TV network, shows are pitched and launched, a Sesame Street legend becomes a mentor, I get fired a few times, and my beauty industry career begins. When I took that job, it was Madeline DeVries. I just had this desire to be in special events. I wanted to plan parties. I wanted to make things look pretty and glamorous and fun. And I actually hated that job more than I probably hated any job I've ever had. that was because I had to do these systems and programs and learn things that I really did not come naturally to me. So I was constantly struggling uphill. It's definitely a theme in my life, but I guess we all struggle in different ways. But as soon as they gave me an opportunity, they said that I could plan an event for all of the beauty editors. Remember, this is my first job out of college, and I wanted a job in beauty and fashion. I was making press kits out of my dorm room, sending them to this president of Saks Fifth Avenue when I was like 19 to try to get jobs in that industry. I think I had seen that Christian Lacroix was coming from Paris, and I made something up, and the next thing I knew, I was sending off a press kit. So I was always very ambitious and a self-starter and just doing things to propel myself, to make inroads, to make relationships, make connections. That was my thing, and I was doing it all day and all the time. It was how I thought, how I wanted to have a career in live special events somewhere in the beauty and fashion industry. So I planned this fantastic event, and actually, when I look back on it, it was the only thing I ever did at that company that anybody was actually happy with because I couldn't figure out the systems, and ultimately I got fired. Well, they don't use the word fired. What's that word when you get laid off? Oh, yeah, they closed our division. And here's a really interesting story about relationships. When I planned that event, it was very successful because that was what I loved to do. And I loved to plan parties. And I grew up in a family of planning parties. So it was a big part of my core. And I felt good about it. And I knew how to do it. And I knew how to do it well because I learned from the best. So that was a great opportunity for me back then. But what happened was a gentleman that I met along the way, I interviewed with for a job in advertising on the McDonald's account. Super nice guy, met him when I was in college. I don't know, never thought I'd see him again. Well, guess what? That guy, his name was David, he became my boss. He became my boss at this small PR firm that I worked at for 2 years. And we had a wonderful relationship. And it was always about the relationship, right? Like he knew me, how much I wanted to be in this industry. And there he was as my boss. When I left the PR firm, well, I was fired, I guess. And after I launched Calcaflor at Bergdorf Goodman, which was a very big success, a beautiful fragrance, and still wanted to be in the fragrance industry, I couldn't get a job in beauty. I tried so hard, knocked on every door, wanted to be at Lauder, Dior, L'Oreal, and I, for some reason, could not make inroads there. My best friend, Michelle, invited me for dinner with her father, who was a very fantastic executive producer of Aerosmith, AC/DC, Joan Jett, and Beatlemania. And I grew up in their house and in the backseat of a car listening to him doing deals. And I was always fascinated. I was actually much more fascinated hearing what he was doing than sitting with my best friend. They know that by now, but my ears were in two places. So I was listening to the art of the deal. I love the art of the deal. There is nothing that is more exciting to me than making a deal. I told you about that when I was 5 with the bubblegum. As I would listen to Steve in the backseat of the limo, I would be thinking about entertainment, all of these things. But what happened when Michelle invited me for dinner, I was kind of upset. I got fired. I said, maybe I'll have a scotch. And Steve turns around and he's like, I have a job for you. In the next episode, a single basketball shot catapults my career from a 3-ring circus and pizza-eating turtles to a big-time Hollywood TV job. Don't be a stranger. Find me at abby.wallach on Instagram. And if you want to learn more about my projects and the things that I've done, check it out, abbywallach.com. This podcast is produced and edited by Mark Rako. Copyright 2022, Abby Wallach Productions.